Hey tipsters, in case you don't know me, I'm Mr. Parker, and this is my friend David. We're here to talk to you today a little bit about alcoholism and alcoholism as a disease. We hear you guys are discussing this in one of your books, and we wanted to share with you all our experience with alcoholism as a disease and working with recovered alcoholics in our volunteer work. So, alcoholism, a lot of people don't understand, but it is actually a disease. Doctors can diagnose it as a disease, and it's a chronic disease. So, if someone is an alcoholic, they're an alcoholic for their entire lives. That doesn't mean they have to go on drinking for their entire lives. There are ways that people can recover from alcoholism and stay sober for the rest of their lives. A lot of people don't totally understand that since alcoholism is a disease, it's not necessarily a moral failing. People don't drink because they're a bad person or because they just want to and don't care who they're affecting. Sometimes that's true to an extent, but often the case is that the person might want to stop, but literally can't because of how baffling the effects of alcoholism are. So David's going to share with us a little bit today about his story, about his journey, and what alcoholism was like for him to experience. He's going to talk about how alcoholism basically took over his mind and caused an obsession where even when he didn't want to drink, he still drank, even when he didn't want to. He's going to share with us how that affected him, how that affected his life, and then finally what happened to help him get sober and stay sober. So I'll turn it over to David.
Thank you, Will. Hi, guys. I'm David, and I'm an alcoholic. So my story in brief. My first drink was at the age of 20. Thanksgiving weekend, I went to my grandparents' house. He had a bar in his house, and I waited till they went to bed, and I took a shot of brandy. And I distinctly recall the feeling of the brandy going down my throat, the sting, the sensation of warmth hitting my face, the taste of the brandy, um, and most of all, the feeling of just ease and not caring about anything else other than just the feeling of the alcohol and being there. That was for me my first experience, and that really does describe really what I was at the heart of what I was trying to do in my drinking. I wanted to feel relief. I wanted to feel like that all the time when I drank. So real quick, it progressed. I started drinking with my friends on the weekends and in college. Had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and then it wasn't fun anymore. I think it was around 2011, actually, Christmas break. I started to obsess over it. These thoughts of drinking and when I would get the drink and how much and worry whether they'll have enough or not. All these thoughts started to happen. It never had happened in my life like that. And it just started to get worse and worse. My friends became representations of the drink that I could get from them. My friend Marie became a representative of spiced rum and wine. Friend Taylor was vodka. Colin was more spiced rum and Jack Daniels. They just became representations of the drink. And these people I had known and loved for years. Became very close to them, and they were like family to me. Eventually, I was unable to stop when I drank. My drinking got to the point where I would want to get the buzz and have fun, but I would just find myself in the night just overwhelmed with this thirst for more. I really couldn't stop at some points. I just couldn't, whether I wanted to or not. And then I got to the point where I was unable to even say no to the first drink. I had so many intentions as it wore on about 2013, 2014, where I would say no to myself and say no to my friends. I'm the designated driver. Leave me alone. I'm not going to drink. But I'd find myself walking to the bar, and I'd have a thought like, I mean, what's one shot going to hurt? I mean, really, it's just a shot. And then after that one shot, done. 15 shots later, beers later, I'm done. I'm absolutely wasted, drunk. And that even also, this is how bad it got, guys. The intervals of not drinking. So I'd have really bad binges, and I'd puke blood, and I'd be sick for days sometimes, and I couldn't stop. So I finally would say to myself, okay, I'm not gonna drink, and I'd have intervals of a month or 2 or 3, and all the while though, even though I wasn't drinking, I was restless. I hated myself. I hated the world. I was so angry all the time. I was lonely. Most of all, I was lonely. I felt so alone. I felt like no one cared about me. I felt like everyone was out to get me. I felt that no one had anything to offer me other than annoyance and maybe you can be useful to me. That was what the condition of my mind.
David, how did you get relief from your alcoholism? And how have you been able to stay sober for over a year now?
Yeah, my sobriety date is March 9th, 2014. And I found myself in San Antonio and started attending meetings. And I was told that I needed a spiritual experience and I needed a program of action to stay sober. So I decided to take suggestion. I got a sponsor, someone who is also an alcoholic who has gone through the 12 steps and continues to live the 12 steps in their life. And he guided me through the 12 steps, and the obsession to drink left me. And then, more so than that, not only did I stay sober, I became happy and I stopped being so angry. And I started to see that life is worth living. And now I take full responsibility for my life. And I don't want to drink anymore. And also, I don't want to harm anyone anymore. And I want to have a happy life. And that's all thanks to the 12 steps of AA and my higher power, a word that is interchangeable with God for some people, but I like to call my higher power the being, the power, the presence that keeps me sober. And I'm very thankful I got to share my story with you all today. And I hope that I've helped you understand a little better how alcoholism is a disease, and that the only solution for this disease is a spiritual experience, a change inwardly in which I surrender to alcohol, I surrender to a higher power, and I accept the steps of action that AA gives me to stay sober. So thank you again, Will.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing, David.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.